Hi, guys. Welcome to Drama in Session with Carina,
And Heidi.
where we bring the real life courtroom drama straight to you from our office and just everything we hear at court.
Drama is now in session.
So, this week and last week, actually, it's been going on an ongoing process with us.
It has been a week.
So, this week, I think one of the highlights of the week was that I was in court 8:30 a.m. in downtown. I'm doing the hearing remote, and dad comes in. He's asking for a modification of custody because he didn't finish a step-up plan for with his previous orders. And this guy has had a drinking problem. He's been in rehab a few times, according to my client. She has concerns about him, and he shows up drunk, just drunk. It is eight. Well, okay, so the by the time the judge takes the bench, it's 8:45 a.m. 8:45 a.m. So that was interesting.
And then I noticed when I got into the office, she was at her hearing, and I'm looking at the call log to see like, okay, like who do I need to call back? And I see that he called us at like 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 6, and I was like, wait, is this
Yeah.
opposing party?
Yeah, I don't know if he finished the party and then just rolled it straight into court. I mean, it's better than assuming he started drinking at 6 a.m.
I don't know. He was up since 4, so
But at at the end of it, I was just thinking about this child and how sad. I know that he has good intentions because he's there. He wants to see his child, but the fact that he would show up so intoxicated, it's not fair to child. It's not fair to mom, and it's just not fair in general.
mhm.
Um, the court was being very patient with him, more patient than I would have been. And I thought that the orders were kind of interesting because the court ordered visitation, which I didn't think was going to happen because in another courtroom on a different case, I've seen the court say absolutely no visitations until you get it together, mom or dad. But in this case, the court ordered visitation, but it had to be professionally monitored. Dad had to pay for the monitor, look for the monitor, set up the monitor, and do at least three AA classes a week before any visits. So I can see what the court was doing. Like they were going to make this guy jump through hoops, right, to see their child. And essentially, if he can do all of this, he has to be sober. But then you have functioning alcoholics.
Mhm.
So how does that work?
Yeah. And prior to this hearing, he was showing up to mom's house, like, I need to see my child. But we were waiting for the hearing, right, to establish orders. So we were telling mom, like, don't worry if he shows up to your house again. First of all, call the cops or, if there's any altercations. But if he shows up like, oh, it's time for me to see my kid, but he hasn't shown the proof of the AA meetings or booked a monitor, a professional monitor. Like, where's my kid? Where's the monitor?
Yeah,
Where are the glasses?
like, I see the bottles in your car, but
But at least now she has that to back her up. Like, you can't see him until you show me this. It's court ordered.
yes. So I think that cases like that are they're just a little difficult for me to understand. I guess as a parent too,
Mm-hmm.
I understand that it is a disease sometimes and it does take over. But I hope that at some point he just realized what he looked like in court. And it was just so sad to see. I've actually had that before one other time where guy actually fell walking into court. But this was like at a 1:30 p.m. hearing.
Yeah.
It was not an 8:30. I think maybe that's why I was so surprised that it was 8:30 a.m. Dude, you showed up toasted.
When the judge was like, oh, we're going to go for lunch and come back, he went to
and he
Calaveras.
and then he was like looking around like I tripped over something. And the judge was like, sir. And then you could just see that he was like slurring. And the judge just pretty much told him to file when he got his head straight.
Mm-hmm.
But,
But we have seen the other side of that. We have clients who they come in and they're like, hey, listen, I used to have a problem.
yeah.
I went through rehab. I
Yes.
did the program. I have a sponsor.
Yes.
So we've seen the other side of it too, where they get out of that hold
They
up.
overcome it, and when the court sees that you've taken active steps as a parent or just as a person in general to grow and to leave your addiction behind,
Mhm.
the court is gonna always give you the benefit of the doubt. They're going to want you to succeed. They're gonna want to be there to maybe implement steps for the child's safety, but at the end, if you're able to overcome that, you're gonna get your child
Mhm.
because it's great to see somebody that can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we recently had a case where um, dad is still trying to prove himself, but he's doing what he needs to do, and luckily the court was able to see that and was able to give dad some visits, and hopefully he just stays on the right track.
Mhm. Yeah, so we'll see. The other highlight was we're at court and it's a long 2 hearings. We're going from the 2nd floor to the 3rd floor to the 2nd floor.
We get stuck in the elevator because we don't even know what floor to hit anymore.
And an email comes in between all that from an opposing counsel, and they're like, did
Your
the client?"
client has been arrested. That's all it said.
I'm looking at the email like, "Wait, what? How?" Calling our client, no answer, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah."
Well, yes, I mean, did you expect them to answer? Like, hold on, they're fingerprinting me right now. Hold on, I'm in the cell with Joe.
I was giving him the benefit of the doubt, okay?
I mean, I understood that we had a call, right? But at the same time, I'm like, were we really expecting him to answer, or who was gonna answer?
The sheriff who took his phone is like, "Hey, your law firm's calling."
Your lawyer is calling?
Sent a voicemail.
Yeah, no, yeah, somebody was sending us to voicemail, yeah. So that was interesting, and we're still kind of dealing with that aspect. So maybe we'll talk about that one on another session. But
Oh, the other ones.
we also, or I was also escorted out of court
Yes.
last week, which was interesting. I was threatened in open court. Not that that's never happened before, but I felt like this time it was just a little bit more personal for this individual, and not that I thought he would do anything, but it's 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 dealing with people's children and their lives, so I get it. But yeah, I erred on the side of caution, and I walked over to the deputies and I was like, "Can you walk me to my car, please?" I tried to get that in the day in the life, but I didn't think it was very professional. For me to be like, I'm getting escorted out of the courthouse. Like, sorry, days, Stacy.
Smile.
So those were some of the highlights. The last one we had, we just had a very, I don't know, hard case dealing with domestic violence and children. And right now we're still trying to serve this individual and can't find him, but all over the social media, he's pretending like he's living his best life. So we'll keep you updated on that one because I'm hoping for a very good outcome. But it was definitely a hard case to process.
Yeah, and even we have some interns right now. Shout out to our intern.
Yes.
But we're drafting, or gathering the facts like, hey, our client emailed us over a timeline, just kind of highlight the important ones that you think we should write up. And even our interns were like, oh my God, that was a gut wrenching.
Yes. Yeah, right. I feel like they were reading it and they could not believe it. And honestly, if I wouldn't have seen some of those pictures, I don't think I would have.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I mean, yeah, it was very tough. And I think anytime you have any type of abuse or violence when dealing with kids, it's hard. And I think that that's the hardest part about family law. We joke about the drama and everything that comes with baby mamas and baby daddies, but we don't really get to see the emotional aspect or the difficult parts of dealing with cases that involve domestic violence or abuse.
Yeah, but I also, after we go through the hassle of typing and filling out all the 150 forms and writing the declaration,
Nothing scans. Nothing wants to upload into the portal because that's their life.
the client late to sign it so that we can file before the court closes. But at the end of the day, seeing that email that everything was granted in our favor
Is that very rewarding and we protected? Yes, it is the best feeling. Literally, best feeling.
knowing that we're doing a positive impact on these individuals' lives.
Yeah.
So,
And I feel very good about what we get to do because for the most part, I really think that we're always on the right side. I know people are always trying to tell me you're on the wrong side of things. You don't know your client, but I think we do a really good job of investigating our clients,
Mhm.
looking up their social media. And I tell clients, we're going to be friends. Give me your phone. I want to see your text messages. I don't just want you to tell me what you text her or him. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to see what you text
Mhm.
because it's important for us to know who we're representing.
Right.
And I don't like surprises. I don't want to be texted in the middle of my hearing that someone is arrested. Sometimes you just can't avoid certain things.
Emotions are heightened, and sometimes it gets the best of you, but we'll see.
And just to give a little insight on our client that was arrested, this is a very, very good parent, an
Yes.
extremely awesome parent. And we have a parent on the other side that will do anything to make this parent look like the bad parent when they're not.
Mhm.
They're absolutely not. So I know that they're going to come out of this and it's going to all blow over. It's just such a shame that we have somebody so toxic
I know.
that is going to do this to the one stable parent. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, when you keep getting poked at, I mean, I get it.
I know. I get
But
that too.
mm, okay, well, we'll see.
Well, on to the real drama.
Yeah.
We got some juicy form submissions, but this one really stood out. Maybe it's because it talked about firemen
And OnlyFans.
and OnlyFans. So go ahead, Heidi, give it to them.
So this submission. So during a child support modification hearing, the dad claims that he couldn't afford to pay more. He had been laid off, supposedly, allegedly, barely scrapping by, living off ramen and vibes. But mom came prepared with screenshots.
She brought receipts.
She brought the receipts. Bring 'em out, bring 'em out. Turns out, while snooping around online, as any good co parent investigator would, she found a secret OnlyFans account linked to dad. So, not just any account either. He was wearing a firefighter costume, but he's not a firefighter. He was charging $15.99 a month and had a bio that said, "I'll heat up your hose." She printed out the profile, the comments, and his promo codes.
Oh my God. I wish you would have submitted with the promo codes were matching.
We're all like, we gotta see the evidence. So she handed them to the judge like she was submitting evidence in the murder trial.
Murder trial is wild.
The judge stared at the papers and asked Dad, "So you're not working, but you're monetizing content?"
Well, that's a good way to put it, Judge. Very professional. I don't think I would have put it that way. I would have been like, you are butt ass naked online.
So, long story short, his income was recalculated. He was ordered to pay more. And now he's probably known as the court's OnlyFans Joe.
Well, first of all, there's a lot going on here. Obviously, this person thought that he was going to get away with telling the court that he didn't make money. And we see this all the time. Anytime somebody's filing or going through custody, the first thing that they say is, that he said he's going to stop working so that he doesn't have to pay me a dime, or she's going to pretend that she doesn't make any money but she has a business doing hair or nails, so she getting paid in cash. And we have a lot of OnlyFans people, clients, and on the other side, and let's just say that the truth comes out. And it always does. And it's interesting when it does because how easy it could have been for him to say, you know what, I'm not working, but I did start doing stuff online. I don't get paid a lot. Here's what I do get paid. And maybe it wouldn't have been that much, or maybe it would. I don't know. Maybe he was blowing up the internet. I have no idea.
Maybe he wanted the, what is it called when you get, the clout? Get the clout from the courthouse.
Seriously, I don't know. He would have probably got a few more subscribers here, right? Right? He would have just said admitted he's only as with his declaration. But I mean, we've literally seen this happen before where somebody goes in and they try to play the court and they say, oh, boo hoo hoo, I don't have money. I don't have this. I don't have that. And people come prepared. People bring the receipts, and she came. She was fully prepared. And, it's funny because I've seen this actually happen in court. I once had a client. She was this sweet lady. They had been divorced for years. She had majority custody of the children. And he filed years later to reduce his child support. And she's like, "Look, he's part of law enforcement. He's like a really high up person up there. He's clearly making more money than he was like years ago when we had this support order, and he sees the kids less. How is he trying to lower his child support?" So we go into court and I see him and I try talking to him and I run the numbers. I run the numbers for child support. I run her income, which hadn't changed. She still had the same job. It wasn't like, oh, well, now she works at a different job. And she had been getting some promotions here and there or raises. Right. We live in California. Everything goes up. But everything was pretty much the same on her part. He was making double. He was making double. When I asked him for a paycheck, he was making double. I looked at the numbers and I was like, this guy. I said, "Sir, you know what? Would you like me to ask my client to cancel this?" And we just walk away because essentially it was his filing. And he could have just, I had to show him the numbers and he could have just been like, "I don't want to do it anymore." And I showed him everything and he said no. And I said, "What do you mean no?" And he's like, "No, I want the court to hear my side of the story. I am barely making it. I have a new partner who doesn't work.
They're about to get married.
They're about to get married. Okay, well, have her work. I don't know. They just bought a house." And he was like crying a river. So I was like, "Are you sure? Because this is what you're probably going to pay." He's like, "There's no way I could pay that." And I'm like, "Well, the numbers are the numbers." And he's like, "Absolutely no way. There's no way I can pay that." So we put it up. Put it up, and the court lifted him and said, "Your children come before all of your other expenses." Asked him what he drove, when he bought this house. And he's like, "Sir, no, you need to pay what is due for your children to be able to survive because this is your obligation."
Mhm.
And let's just say that his previous order, child support order, was something like, I don't know, maybe like $900. This guy was paid almost $2,000 now in child support. And during the hearing, my client, he started getting emotional. And my client was like, "Should we say that it's okay?" And I'm like, "No, lady, he cheated on you. He doesn't see his kids. He came from unicorn
tried
to
to
spend
warn
all
him.
this money on me, and you're being nice right now." I'm like, "No, lady." And this guy was so mad. I'd never seen somebody get up. The hearing wasn't over. The judge was just like still trying to calculate some stuff, putting the orders together, and the guy started crying. And I mean, we're talking about this high up law enforcement, big buff man who could probably just like body slam anybody in that courtroom. And he was bawling. He was like, "Judge, you're gonna leave me homeless." "Sir, you're not gonna be homeless." And my client's like, "Should we give us a break?" And I'm, what is happening here? He stormed out like a 5-year-old. Yeah, he was crying and he left the courtroom. And well, till this day, my client is still getting her almost $2,000 child support because he doesn't see his kids.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's for your kids.
And I think that that's not the way that he was seeing it. The way that he
Right.
was seeing it is that he was getting more money, but as he was making more money, he was living a better lifestyle, right? He had
Mhm.
bought a bigger house. His new significant other wasn't working, a better car. Like, yeah, he was driving something like a Range Rover or something when my client still had the same car from the divorce. It was like a Camry. She's like, car trouble all the time. And yeah, it just was an interesting situation for him to think that the court was going to take things like that into consideration. And a lot of people don't realize when it comes to child support, it really is based on numbers and percentage. I mean, the court will take into consideration your rent or necessities, but if they see you living a great life on social media, especially or on your OnlyFans page, you're gonna pay.
Mhm. And we said that at our last hearing, I mean, our last podcast that social anything on social media is fair game.
Everything on social media. I mean, honestly, the amount of opposing parties that we have stalked on the social media that we have been like, "Wait, wasn't that her weekend with the baby? Isn't that the weekend she said she had plans? Mother's Day in Mexico with no child? Interesting."
Where's the child? Yeah,
Yes.
that was our
So
client.
everything is fair game, and considering the fact that everyone wants to post everything about their lives, when you are in a custody case, I would recommend not posting anything,
Mhm.
anything. And that kind of goes alongside with the order of like drinking, right? We brought it up before where it's on both sides. And we recently had a case where the court said neither party can drink And one of the parties was like, "Well, wait, I don't even have a problem. Can I just drink socially on the weekend? Can I have a glass of wine?"
That's right. To unwind.
And to unwind, and the judge is like, "Well, it's a two-way street. Like, these orders go both ways. You both parents need to be responsible. I understand that one parent has a different situation than you do, and that's why you are asking for these orders, but it it's there's no double standards, and it's the same thing when it comes to social media. It's gonna come in, but it could easily come in for the other side too."
Mhm. And that leads us to our next topic we wanna discuss, which is child support.
Yes, and child support is huge, obviously. I mean, with this case, right? I think that there's so much misconceptions about child support. People think
Mhm.
that, "Why should I pay?" And, "Oh my
How
god."
much am I gonna pay?
Everyone wants to know the first thing out of their mouth. "How much am I gonna pay in child support?" "I don't know, sir. How much do you make?" "Ma'am, I don't know. How much am I gonna get?" "I don't know, lady. Like, I don't know anything about your, like, how do you expect me to just know?" And, a lot goes into child support, but at the same time, it is really just a guideline. It is just a formula that is used, and people don't expect child support sometimes to be as high as it is. And some people don't expect it to be as low as it is sometimes. It's really hard for us to tell what that
Mhm.
number is going to be until we have all the facts. And what I think is interesting is that when people are talking about child support, they look at it like, well, I'm funding for nail addiction, or I'm funding this, or, he's barely giving me anything and he's over here doing this stuff. But it's like, okay, well, that's the number that you got based on the formula. But you guys could have agreed to something different, and sometimes that works out better.
Yes.
And I don't think that people really see that.
Like, just recently, we went to a hearing. They already had a mutual agreement.
Yeah.
It wasn't a court order, but it was a mutual agreement.
It was a status quo.
Let's say 500 a month, and the judge was running the numbers, and it was a little more.
It was
And
at
they
1,200.
and we were like, wait. They had a mutual agreement of 500, and they were like, wait, are you still okay with that? She's like, well, I mean, sure. And we're like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh my god. I thought I was almost gonna have to pay $1,200. But then, there was other factors in there, like, some people may not be working as much during that time. I mean, you also have to account for children, like maternity leave or disability time. Maybe they aren't making enough money because they were preparing for the hearing, right? They were, like, cutting back on hours, or they weren't working overtime. I feel like sometimes I ask clients, like, "Okay, give me your recent paycheck." "Oh, I just worked a lot of overtime last month." "Oh, okay. Well, then, you wanna give me the month before that?" "I got a bonus that month." That's like,
What kind of job we're always saying, what kind of jobs do these people have? We need to apply.
like, "Okay, guys, I'm applying to Home Depot because I have seen those Home Depot paychecks," and I'm like, "What?"
I just found out that Dollar Tree, the workers make way more than the minimum wage.
I was easy.
Well, it's like 17, right?
Yeah.
No, I recently heard that this guy was making like 23 or something.
And Dollar Tree.
Yes,
Oh my god, and
Dollar Tree
get a discount.
on a dollar. It's 50 cents.
So oh my god, imagine they give you 50%. Oh, now we would win.
The party center in us would be winning.
Yes, for sure. Honestly, sometimes I see people's pay stubs and I'm like, dude, I chose the wrong career. I went to school, and this person is making all this money. Half of me sometimes is like, okay, well, OnlyFans is looking really
And
good.
jobs you wouldn't even think of. Like, I mean, okay, Home Depot maybe, but AutoZone.
Oh, yeah. What was it? It was like an AutoZone driver or something. What even is that? And how do you make that much money?
Every time we're flying calls, they're driving, and we're like, "What are you driving?" You're like taking tires or
Oil rims?
window wipers.
I don't know. But I mean, if anybody's interested in finding out about that career, I would definitely look into it because you make some pretty good money.
For
The other stuff is that comes up when it comes to child support is independent contractors and people that get paid under the table and people that own their own business.
they're self-employed.
Those are tough, and we understand how people are always saying. I think recently, I had a case where guy was barely making minimum wage. but he works at a place where he makes a lot of money on tips.
Mm.
And our client was saying, obviously this is the amount on paper, but he makes tips. But unfortunately, I can't prove that. And he didn't have a lavish lifestyle where I could say, well, if he only makes minimum wage, he's making maybe maximum $3,000 a month, maximum. And in California, I mean, that's I mean, in order to live and have children, that's difficult. And she's like, "Well, no, he makes all this money in tips." Well, if he claims to make $3,000 a month, but then he drives a Mercedes with a $700 payment, his house rent or mortgage is like 4,000, and he has all this bills and country club memberships. That guy makes more money than the 3,000 he does on paper. But if he doesn't live that kind of lifestyle, how do you prove it?
Mhm.
You can't. And so you have to take that number.
Yeah.
And it's hard sometimes because I know that they know what they're talking about, but there's no way to prove it. And it gets frustrating. And sometimes people overshare. Like, I don't know if you remember, but we had a case where we were dealing with child support, and mom wrote in her paperwork that her parents give her $3,000 a month.
Oh, I remember that.
So she made, like, I wanna say she made almost $4,000 a month, and then her parents gave her 3. Well, our client only made 5. So, who was the higher earner there? Mom. And she's like, "Well, yeah, my parents helped me out," and the judge was like, "Lady, I'm gonna add that to your income. Your parents give you $3,000 a month, like, that is income, like, there's no way around it. It doesn't matter how you get it."
And she lived with them, so she didn't pay rent or utilities.
Yes. I mean, I'm about ready to move in too. Can you adopt me?
But that's why it's like, get, if you can, an attorney because she's all typing that in her declaration, like,
No, like, why? Like, what did you do? Like, do they pay? I mean, I don't know. How will they pay her? I'm hoping cash, but she was very forthcoming with what she was making. So I thought that was interesting. And it's hard when people don't have attorneys and they do give information, and you're like, sometimes I feel like I get too much information where I don't even know what to do with this. Like, I had one guy who had like 15 pay stubs attached to it. I'm just like, where do you even work at, dude? Like, you have this amount of jobs. Like, how? I don't have time for one job.
or when they write their declarations and we're like, okay, just give us a timeline of the most recent events. Keep it to 1 page because we have people who turn in 20 pages of like, well, it all started when I was 5 years old. Like, no,
We met in 2005. I'm like, what? No. And I think that that's hard too when it comes to people because they've lived this experience. And for us, like, we're just trying to deal with what is happening now. Well, he's always been this way or she's always been this way.
we met when we were in middle school.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, I don't need to know all of that. And then another fan favorite that everyone wants to talk about, well, he's a cheater. She's a cheater. It's like, okay, well, in California, that does not come in. That just does not come in. Well, can't we just present it? Present it to who? That's just drama. Present it on a podcast? Yes.
What did he do?
Give us the facts. What's funny is I was on TikTok yesterday, and I don't know if you've seen it, but there's this fireman guy who caught his wife cheating. And on his 40th birthday, I meant to send it to you. It was so much drama. On his 40th birthday, he threw himself a party, or they were throwing a party with all their family, her family, his family, friends. And he brought the wife up. And he's like, I want to thank my wife and my family. And he was giving this great speech. And so he's like, I want to see the ring that I gave you. And he was a fireman in New Jersey. Literally, you can Google it, fireman in New Jersey. It's like a scandal. And she's like all thinking he's going to give her an upgraded rate. Like literally, she was like, just you ready, right? And he takes it off and he's like, not bad for a fireman's salary. And then he gives her this kiss, and people are like, that was the kiss of death because he like grabs her. But then he starts telling her off, like, you be this, I know about you. And there's people recording, like, what's happening? What's like, is this real? Like, is this a skit?
Another proposal or something?
Yeah, like, is this a skit? No, but he was like telling her off. And then all of a sudden he's like, I saw the pictures. I have the video. You cheating, beat. And it's so good. And that I think people caught on. But I guess wife was cheating on him with somebody at daycare. like a dad at daycare, where their kids go. They were having a full-on affair, and this guy found out about it right before his 40th birthday, and he put her on blast in front of everybody.
That was embarrassing.
And the lawyer in me was like, I would show this video in court to show how aggressive he is,
Mhm.
even though I can relate as a person to the hurt that he was feeling and the emotions that he was going through. But it's so sad that nowadays everything gets recorded. And if we just showed a little bit of that video, I don't think that a court would have been able to unsee that this person has anger in them that could potentially be concerning. Because I think that as you're seeing the video, like, I'm like, "Oh my god, is he gonna hit her?" And I think there was, like, some scuffling in the video where, like, there was family members being like, "Calm down," or I don't know. But then there's, like, a bunch of parts to the video, and, I guess she left, and he still enjoyed his 40th birthday, and there were, like, all these, like, divorce songs, and I mean, I don't know what's happening now because everyone's like, "Hello, we need updates." But I thought that that was an interesting one.
That reminds me, there was another TikTok video, I don't know if I sent it to you, but it was a girl who on her wedding day found out that he was cheating on her, so she still played the part, like, walked down the aisle when they got to the altar and she was gonna give her vows. I think she, told the whole family, like, "Oh, so, like, unfortunately, we're not getting married today because so and so decided to cheat." And then, I think there was, like, a PowerPoint or something that her best friend, like, quickly put together, and they were both, like, showing the proof because she was like, "I want everybody to know the reason." And so then I guess she was like, "You can leave now, you're dismissed." And then, she told everybody else, like, the guests, like, "Oh, but everybody feel free to stay. We're celebrating that I didn't get married to a cheater."
Oh.
Because it was already paid for, the food was, so so everybody she says that everybody was, like, a little bit awkward, but then it was kinda like, "Okay, yeah, your family." Yeah.
Well, I think that was the same thing. I think like, the, hashtags are he turned it into his divorce party, and his whole thing was, "I didn't want her to gaslight me into thinking that I wasn't right, and I wanted you guys to hear the actual facts and for her not to go and say that this didn't happen."
Mhm.
And he brought receipts too, like, and I guess on her Instagram stories, it was like her on these play dates with this, like, stay-at-home dad. It's like, wow, wow, I know. It was a wild one. So then I went down the rabbit hole. I was like, who are these people? Where is she? She's still alive.
At the office, we went down the rabbit hole for that lady with the what was it called?
Who the F did I marry?
Yes.
Right? Oh my god. I feel like everybody knew about that, but we just had it playing in the background.
We were the next day, we were like, "Oh, wait, what part were we at? Play it." While we're typing up declaration.
And they would just say something, and that's when I realized that he was a pathological liar. We're like, wait, what? What did I miss? Rewind. Seriously. That one was a good one. And I think after that, people just really started going on episodes of how crazy their lives are. And I think that that's what happens in divorces or custody battles. You're never with the person that you marry,
Mm.
right? I think we just asked somebody today. Um, we represent dad, and he's just trying to change a slight change to the schedule just because he's having surgery. And it's like anytime if something comes up, it's like no, 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 no. So we're like, Dean, what'd you do to her? Like, just tell us already. She does not like you. Did she ain't playing? Did you cheat on her? She is so butthurt. And then he's like, well, yeah. And we're like, oh, okay.
But, like, low key between us, she still texts me every day that we should get back together.
And for a while, we thought they were. It was like pictures of them at Disneyland. I'm like, has our client called? Like, are they back together or what? But, I think it's good when they do co-parenting things, but I also know that there's a lot of makeup to break us, especially in family law. And sometimes I want to give people the opportunity to heal and to figure out if they should resume their marriage or their relationship. But it's funny to see when they are working on it and then we get the calls like, oh no, never mind. We're not working on it anymore. And then they're like, hurry up. I want to get divorced yesterday. We're like, my God. And then a week later, they're like, just put everything on hold. We're back together. Oh, no, I don't play that kind of stuff. I don't have that kind of time for that kind of stuff. Like, absolutely no way.
Here's substitution of attorney.
Seriously, thank you for having us. Thank you for involving us in the drop down. Come again. We no longer want to be involved. So remember that time when we were on a case and we represented dad and mom called us to tell us that they were working stuff out on their own and that they no longer needed our services. And when we called dad, he was like, no, I have not called her.
Oh, she was living in like the Lululemon.
I even talked to her. She keeps texting me, but I don't say back. But she texts me and he's like, oh, no, close the case. I'm like, hey, she called us to say that you no longer need our services. Like, what's going on? And he's like, what? Or the one that we get all the time is that people will pretend to know us.
Oh, all the time.
Yes. Like, they will be like, oh, I've known Carina since I was 6 years old. I actually was in diapers with her at a daycare. Well, first of all, I was never at a daycare. Okay. They will make up some crazy stories. I was out drinking with Heidy, to your paralegal for your law firm. Like, what, sir? I was in full at home in bed with my cats and my rollers in my hair.
Did I post anything on my stories? If I didn't post anything on my stories, I wasn't there.
I was up. And it's funny because our clients will call off concerned. And I'm like, okay, even if I did go to daycare with this person, what?
Like, really? You think I went on a date with your friggin' baby daddy?
Oh my God, the stuff that opposing parties.
Because you follow us on Instagram and see your social life and who we hang out with doesn't mean you know us.
Yes, and I feel that that's kind of scary when it's the other side. They always do that stuff, and I don't know if it's to intimidate our client. But then I'm like, are they like this crazy that they would make up these kind of stories,
No.
especially about us?
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's crazy. And then you have like the not so little lies, but sometimes I'll get phone calls and, oh, I've been DMing Karina on Instagram and she said that she would, my retainer would be this much. And I'm looking at it like,
Or she said she would represent me even though my case is in Texas.
oh, and she said I could pay her at the end of the year. And I'm like, who said what? When I first started, I would be like, oh, okay, hold on, let me like get back to you and I'll see what I could do. And then I'd tell Karina, she's like, no, I did not say that.
And I'm like, first of all, Heidi, anybody says I'm her friend I don't have friends.
You're my friend.
We are friends. But it's like, okay, no, we're not friends. Anybody that's gonna be like, we're friends, like, no, they would probably be able to call my cell phone. Which, I get it. It's an emotional time, but people lie. Like, they lie to get into our office. They lie to get information. They lie about the other party, and maybe we're just so used to it. But when it happens, sometimes I'm like, wow, like, what in the world? Like, no way.
No, it's very interesting, but we have to do it.
So anyways, to go back to child support, because we got a little off track with our craziness and Heidi going on dates with opposing parties.
Did not. I have a boyfriend, Karina. You want me to get broken up with? Actually, what's funny, he was there when it all happened, so thank God.
Yeah. And I think that the fact that people lie about stuff is just, it's one thing, but then the fact that sometimes like they lie so bad that you're like, what else are you lying about? Like, clearly nobody can believe anything you say. Or we've had people be like, she hit me with her car, or they showed up at my work, or when we ask them, be like, hey, were you at this location and like taking a picture of this person? No. We're like, okay, well, is this you in the video? Oh, well, yeah.
But I thought I could be 100 feet away. Like, wait, so you were there?
I wasn't there. I was getting food.
We walked across the street at Jack in the Box. You were there.
It's just so hard when we deal with so many people.
Like, we have to ask basically specific questions for them to be like, oh, okay, yes.
Yes. And most of the time it's them trying to get certain things across to us and then us trying to find out the information. And then when we catch them in lies, I'm like, wait a minute, back up. What did you just say? So that makes our job interesting. I feel like I always love catching somebody in a lie because I'll call them out.
Oh, yeah.
are you lying?
And they get rattled like, ugh,
Yeah, like, are you lying to me right now? Is this is what's if you're lying to me, then we're gonna stop this conversation because there's no point in us to continue on. And then I was like, no, 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 no. I'm like, okay, I'll be sure to tell the judge that, we were trying to work it out and we couldn't.
Mhm.
And so you're probably lying about everything else.
And then the offer we were proposing was probably the best thing we could do. You don't want to do it. We go before the judge. You get a worse outcome. We tried to tell you. Why does it keep? It's me. I'm playing with my iPad. I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm gonna bring a freaking fidget spinner next time.
We're gonna respond to them.
Jay's over here like my camera turned off. No, it's me. It's me. Let me put it down.
Okay, well, that's what kind of week that we have been having. Like, I feel like everything has been wrong. Everything has been crazy. We had our intern, she was carrying my roller bag. And we just had so much selfie. It's long and it's long. And she's like rolling it, trying to get in the door. She just keeps getting stuck. It's heavy, so it rolls her back. I'm like, are you okay? And I'm just like oblivious to everything. So I'm just like walking around. And then I just see Heidi going back for the intern. Like, she just fell. What? In court? I need my files. I need my files. Go bring me my files. Well, anyways, enough about crazy opposing parties and our clients
And child support.
that's the child support. So unless you're going to be 100% sure that your income is going to be able to be proven in court to change a child support order to lower, I would not go in.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's so if that guy would have been able to talk to a lawyer, it would have been so easy to run the numbers and he would have been like 900 or close to 2,000. I am out. But he didn't. He thought that he was going to go in there and give the lawyer or give the judge some sob story. And the guy was going to be like, "Oh, boo hoo hoo, you don't see your kids and you just bought a house. Like, oh, and it's tough to buy a house in California. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's just cancel your child support order."
Oh, you brought the waterworks? Okay, let's cancel the hearing.
Yeah, like, no, absolutely not. And the worst part is that if the person was seeing their children, if they did have more custody,
Yeah.
right? Like maybe it would have been a factor to consider. But then on top of the fact that you're not seeing your kids, you don't want to pay money. I mean, you don't really have a leg to stand on.
Yeah, and at that point, you can enforce those orders. So it's not like, "Oh, well, I don't want to." If once the judge makes the orders, right? And they're like, "Oh, well, I'm not gonna pay it." Oh, well, guess what? There's wage garnishment.
Yes.
That will take it out of your paycheck.
That amount just won't go away.
Yeah, no.
And if you file it through the child support department, they will notify the IRS and those the tax return that you thought you were gonna get, those $7,000, guess what? You're not gonna get those anymore.
And we were talking about when we were doing our research that before they would even cancel your driver's license.
Yes, for a long time we would get clients that would say, like, how am I supposed to pay my child support if I can't even get to work?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a driver's license.
Well, you should have paid it.
Well, sure, you should have paid it. And they actually don't do that anymore. They said that under certain circumstances that it was unconstitutional to cancel somebody's driver's license because it is technically their way of being able to live, right? Because if you had a job that was far, how are you going to drive there?
Not the steak searing the pot. Not driver's license.
I know driver's license. So yeah, I guess there was a bill passed in 2025 that no longer does that. But well, that limits when they're able to do that.
Right.
So,
And then if you don't pay it, it accrues.
oh yeah, no, I've seen like child support orders for $80,000, but at that point, it's like, how are you going to get the money from the guy that that works at the barber shop that says he makes no money? I mean, that is hard, and I do feel bad for some clients. But
Yeah.
at some point in time, they're going to slip up. They're going to buy something. They're going to have the money, and that person's going to be able to collect. And so, when you think that you're just going to get away with not paying child support, it's never. It's not going to go away. It's going to be there, and debt is going to follow you around even after these kids turn 18. You're still going to owe that.
And well, 19 if they're still in high school.
Yes, yes. Well, guys, I hope that you guys enjoyed our session of the drama. I thought that this one was, I don't know, unscripted. We definitely went off topic a lot, but we had a lot to say.
It had to do with our interesting week,
It was definitely an interesting week.
but it's good to wind down. Usually we start our podcast at the start of our week, so maybe that's why
Maybe this one turned into a let's just throw it all up because
our week
we
was
because we're on a couch and it gives therapist vibes.
I'm about to lay down.
So now you guys are officially our therapy session. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll be back next week to fill your lives with more drama and chaos because that's what we love to do.
And if you missed our upload from the last time, it's available on YouTube and Spotify, Drama in Session.
Bye, guys. Thanks for tuning in.